Today's case begins in the United States, in the state of North Carolina, at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A college student named Nicole opens Discord as usual on a server for the game Perfect World. She scrolls through the chats, laughs and jokes with her friends. But suddenly, one of the members in the game server sends a strange message. Today, I will finally begin executing my plan. The plan made up of 4 steps. Everyone laughs at him, asking, "When will you stop this nonsense, bro?" But after a while, he replies and posts the first picture, then a second, then a third. At that point, the laughter stops and real terror sets in. Only one person among them on Discord takes it seriously and immediately calls the police. And the question is, did they manage to get there before he could post the 4th picture? Oh, and what was in those images? It's a truly strange, shocking, and real case, with an outcome that no one expected. It all starts one day at 3:30 in the afternoon on July 27th, 2019, with a 22-year-old college student named Nicole. Nicole, a 22-year-old from North Carolina, had just finished a full morning and early afternoon of studying. Now it was time for a break, so she sat down at her gaming PC to play her favorite game, Perfect World, a multiplayer online game where players fight using characters inspired by Chinese mythology, set in a richly detailed fantasy world. Perfect World wasn't hugely popular, so only a small community played it, but Nicole was obsessed, having played almost every day for years. During her time in the game, she met a number of other players from around the world who shared her passion. They decided to form their own community, so they took to Discord to chat and stay in touch outside the game. Everything was normal, until the day Nicole opened Discord and saw a few of her buddies online in the general chat. They were talking about another server member known as Min Haz. They didn't know his real name, only that he was a college student who constantly caused trouble, provoking people on the server. Because of his disruptive behavior, the admins had kicked him out multiple times, warning him to stop. But he'd always come back under a different account, apologizing, swearing he wouldn't repeat it, and then returning to his old antics. This time, however, it was different. Nicole scrolled through the chat and saw that Min Haz wasn't defeated like usual. He kept talking about his plan, saying it would change his life completely and make him successful. But the plan sounded bizarre and terrifying, completely outside the realm of normal prank behavior. Even his usual trolling was tame compared to what he was describing now. Everyone assumed he was just messing with them again, so Nicole closed Discord and went back to playing Perfect World. After a few matches, some wins, some losses, she noticed her Discord notifications piling up again. Discord was blowing up, so she opened the server and saw her friends still talking about Min Haz and his plan. They all agreed he was a nuisance and should be ignored, but this time he posted a picture, claiming it was proof he'd completed the first step. Under the image, he wrote, "You see? I finished the first step. Now I'm moving on to the second." Everyone was stunned. Even Nicole thought, no way he actually did anything. That picture could easily be faked with AI or taken from some website. She shrugged it off, closed Discord again, and returned to her game. About an hour later, Discord notifications drew her back once more. The server was ablaze with messages. Min Haz had posted a second picture, claiming it proved he'd completed step 2. Nicole thought, this is crazy, but he can't actually have those images. She told herself he must be messing around, then closed Discord and tried to focus on other things. But her mind kept drifting back to those pictures. Eventually, she logged back in and saw he'd posted a third image, saying he'd finished step 3. This time, even Nicole couldn't ignore it. Each image matched exactly what he'd said he was going to do. She and some friends decided to investigate. Maybe he'd just pulled them from some obscure site, or maybe even the dark web. They tried reverse image searching the first 2 pictures on Google, but found no matches. That made Nicole wonder, what if these were real? They all realized that AI image generation in 2019 wasn't as advanced as today's tools, so creating flawless fake images of, say, Cristiano Ronaldo reading the Quran wasn't possible for most people. The only logical explanation seemed to be that Minhas had taken these photos himself. But how could he have done that? Nicole and her friends decided to dig deeper. They searched the Discord logs and found an old message from Minhas in which he'd revealed his real name. Minhas was actually his genuine name, not just a username. That was useful since it wasn't a common name. They also noted that in his chat messages he always used Eastern Time, US ET, to announce when he'd be online, sometimes saying, "I'll be on at 6 p.m. or back at 8 p.m. From this, they knew he was somewhere on the US East Coast or in eastern central Canada. But that region covers millions of people. One of the server members who knew about hacking offered to trace Minhas's IP address. Within a short time, they tracked him to Toronto, Canada. At that moment, he posted the third picture. Confirmation, they thought, that he'd really done it. Now, they wondered. Should they call Toronto police and warn them that Minhas might be about to carry out something criminal? After all, he said he'd finish the final step in exactly 30 minutes. But the friend who traced the IP warned them. Even if the IP points to Toronto, anyone can hide their location easily with a VPN. The police won't act on just an IP. They need solid evidence. At that point, Nicole realized they had no real leverage. They begged Minhas to tell them the pictures were fake and to stop this joke, but he refused and insisted everything was real. He said he'd complete the 4th step in exactly 30 minutes. True to his word, half an hour later, he posted the 4th and final picture. That was the moment one of the Discord members finally called the Toronto police and shared every image. The next day, at 3:30 p.m. local time, officers arrived at Minhas's home, a small village just north of Toronto. It had been almost exactly 24 hours since he began his plan, from the first image to the police knock. When the officers knocked, Minhas answered calmly, almost politely, as if nothing was wrong. He welcomed them inside. They ascended to the 2nd floor, opened a bedroom door, and froze. It turned out that Minhas hadn't been bluffing. The pictures were not AI fakes or internet hoaxes. He had executed his 4-step plan exactly as described. Inside, the police discovered that Minhas had been living a double life for the past 4 years. On the surface, he was an engineering student with a promising future. In reality, he had dropped out in his first year, lied every day to his family and friends, pretending to go to classes while actually spending all his time at the mall or alone gaming in his room. That day, July 27th, 2019, was the last day he could maintain his lie. July 28th was supposed to be his graduation. Realizing his 2 worlds were about to collide, Minhas decided to enact his plan of 4 horrific steps. And to prove it, he shared photos of each completed step. Do you want to know what those photos showed? The first was of his mother, the second of his grandmother, the third of his sister, and the fourth of his father, each one a grim testament that he'd killed them. He methodically bludgeoned them in the head with a metal rod, then slit their throats and photographed each body before posting the images to Discord. By the time Toronto police were alerted, it was too late. Minhas had confessed to all of it. He was sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 40 years. The lesson here is that family is a red line. You must respect and value them. If you ever reach a point where you feel you cannot communicate with your family, the solution is to move out and live independently, but never, ever resort to what happened in this story. Finally, mental health struggles can hide in plain sight. Behind the username Minhas was a young man living a double life, tormented by the gulf between expectation and reality. We should normalize checking in on friends and peers, not just when they vanish online, but whenever they display uncharacteristic behavior, withdrawing from contact, making increasingly violent or desperate statements, or expressing hopelessness. Tragedies like this one remind us that the digital world and the real world are inseparable. Kindness, vigilance, and open communication can save lives. If you ever feel overwhelmed, remember you are not alone. And if someone you know seems to be sinking into darkness, don't look away. Reach out, speak up, and together we can stop a horror story from becoming someone's reality.